call, please.
Mr. Kuchenauer? Mr. Detweiler?
Here.
Mrs. Driscoll? Here. Mr. Parchman?
Here.
Mr. Mortray?
Here.
Mr. Martucci?
Here.
Mr. Renzi?
Here.
Mrs. Langston?
Here.
Mr. Pianton?
Here. We could stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. And also in our moment of silence, if we could take a moment to remember the loss of Mr. Jeff Snyder and keep me and his family in our prayers. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A motion for the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the treasurer's report. Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the payment of the general and federal fund bills.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for the payment of the cafeteria fund bills. Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We now have a presentation from Mr. Nick Bosnick.
Good evening. I want to first thank the board for the opportunity to come and speak regarding our situation or decision with class rank. Just wanted to provide some information to everyone, including our community, our school community. So class rank is for me, this discussion is nothing new. It has come up several times over the past few years. So my history as being the principal, we've had several scenarios happen where decisions had to be made ongoing about the situation that involved class rank. I'll give you a couple examples. Over the years, we've had students who, chose, in saying this, I felt, they had students were working really hard and were driven to be the best student they can be. But they were making decisions sometimes where we had to determine, was it in their best interest and health and things like that. For example, not take a lunch during the school day. And that was back in when we had rules that food and drinks were in the cafeteria, or were only supposed to be consumed in the cafeteria. So we had to make decisions on, do we change our rules, our policies? Should we be concerned about the health or well-being of a student? Can we bend and create scenarios where students can get both and get as much as possible? And when I begin this conversation, I want to make sure that one of the priorities that I know I've always had with our high school is we always want to offer our students everything possible. Sometimes that's very difficult, but we want to provide them with opportunities to enrich and enhance themselves and give them ability to gain knowledge and skills that are going to help them out in their future. So that on top of, there are scenarios where you can work around class rank rules in scenarios where you can manipulate. So those situations have come up where we've had to have discussions about what is the purpose or the role that class rank has in today's school. So for me again, before I started, I'd just say this is something I've been studying and researching for 8 to 10 years. So recently, spent some time reaching out to our local colleges that I would say the majority of our students seem to attend in our area. And you can see the names up there. We have some big ones in Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Penn State. Also, the smaller universities that our students attend in Penn West, in Slippery Rock, So we had a wide variety of schools there. I think there's 14 up there listed. And of the 14, I just want to give you the consensus result from my conversations with their missions officers and their directors of missions was because high schools across the country, not just in Western Pennsylvania, have different philosophies on how they evaluate and report student performance. It is very difficult for colleges and universities to align, evaluate, and compare students. So the response that I got was that instead of looking at class rank, what they have turned to and what they think is important is looking at a student's transcript and looking for challenging and rigorous courses. And then they use the GPA of the students to determine their entrance into their school, and then also specific majors and availability of scholarship offerings to that student. Again, based on their performance over those 4 years. A couple things I want to mention would be is this. Without class rank, I believe there could be some advantages. Over time, I have had, we have coffee talks where we bring in our former graduates. I always try to have conversations with our former students about, their high school education and how it correlated and how it helped them in their college experiences. And there were times where we've had conversations where students have reached out and said, listen, I was a valedictorian. I remember talking to a young lady who was a valedictorian in school. And she was in college to be an engineer. And I think she was after her first year, going into her second year. And I just, again, asked her, can you give me some highlights? Can you tell me some things you thought really prepared you? And she had one of the suggestions she said was, and I remember this specifically because we made changes to our curriculum involving this conversation was, she said, being an engineer, there's a lot more involved than just understanding math. She said, I really wish that when I was in school that I would have had the confidence and the opportunity to get involved in some technical classes, such as classes that involve CNC routers, fab labs, fabrication, things like that she could get experiences with. And she said that part of her thing is being comfortable with everybody in the classroom, and that included male students. That's why we started our Women in STEMs program. But she also mentioned that, for her to have these experiences, she had to make choices. She had to make choices as should she take classes for class rank that involve science and English, when really a lot of her classes in her career future and in her major involve mathematics and STEM and things like that. So that conversation, again, begins to get thoughts, and we begin talking to other institutions, looking at other schools, and that's where the research really comes from. So, I think there's a lot of value in students becoming well-rounded and getting experiences, outside of the drive and push that they sometimes have to take as much as humanly possible. Sometimes, even though we appreciate their effort and drive, that's something that should be rewarded and valued. Being and getting experiences and knowledge in an area where they're planning to study or do a job or career in is probably as valuable as anything they can do. Sometimes they may get the experience and decide this isn't for me. It's something that when I've researched this over the years have come to the forefront of is we want to make sure that even though we want our students to work as hard as they possibly can and be intrinsically motivated, we want to make sure that they're building their knowledge up, their skills up to be able to take on the challenges that are coming up for them in the future. So, before I move on and talk about some proposals we have made about commencement, I want to just say this, and I think this is something that I really can hold on to. If there was ever a situation, when we talk about class rank, I haven't come across a situation where that has been necessary, something that a school has required, a scholarship organization, something that would be, hey, class rank is what we need to be able to have a child qualify for something. And I would say this to you, if any situation ever like that occurred, we still have the means to be able to pull a ranking, to be able to use the GPA to pull and realize where students perform with their peers in their classes. So my daughter's recently, she's a senior applying to colleges, and almost across the board, the universities she applied to have used the Common App. In the Common App, they ask you, what is your school's system of evaluation, ranking? Do you rank? It's a drop-down box. You put no or yes. If it's yes, they usually ask is, in what percentage of the class did you perform? So it's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, I go back and say, I haven't heard of scholarships that are just for valedictorians in the research that we did. But I can say that if it would result, if that was something that would come up, we would be able to go back, provide that performance data for the university, the college, the scholarship organization, and report it out to give them the information they would need that would benefit our students. So what I'm trying to say is we would always make decisions that wouldn't prevent opportunities, that provide opportunities would be our goal in every situation. And that's something that we try to do individually and as a whole for our students here at the high school. So what we have talked about, obviously, again, is not for this current class of 2024, not even for the class of 2025, but once we got to our current sophomore class, who has already, or taking standard classes. You know, there hasn't been many opportunities to differentiate themselves from each other yet, I guess, you know, start that system of doing that and choices they have to make. We have talked about, again, getting rid of class rank, but having a system of honoring our students for their performance. So I think, you know, being the valedictorian and salutatorian is it's a tremendous honor. And we don't want that honor for our students to, you know, to not be recognized when we come to the end of the year award system, award ceremony, and commencement. So I'll just show you. I'm sorry, I walked away from the mic, but just show you some examples of some systems that, this would be a common system that mostly universities, but also high schools in the current area would use. You know, a lot of times the schools like us, we had gone to a college scale of evaluation, and then with that, the honor systems would be according to the Latin terms of, you know, cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude is a lot of the terms. And again, those Latin terms mean with honor, with great honor, with highest honor, things like that. So we had talked about coming up with a scale, and this doesn't have to be set at this point. It's still up for discussion of using a system, like you can see up here, of with honors, a 3.7 or higher, cum laude, which was a 3.8, or higher, summa cum laude, which is have a 4.0, magna cum laude, which was to have a 4.0 or higher, and also possibly the completion of some advanced placement classes. And again, summa cum laude being the highest level of honor, where you have over a 4.0, which is a 4.5 is a number we try to study and look at the research of how our students perform with 4 or more advanced placement classes. So when I try to see this system and apply it to the class of 2023, what we realized is we would have 68 students at the high school that would have fit into those 4 categories. So of a class, graduating class of 298, 68 of them would have been honored at commencement for their academic performance in one of those categories. The highest category, I believe, would have been the summa cum laude, which was 19 students would have qualified for the summa cum laude honor. Also, our Career Center, students at the Career Center would have also been honored in that, in this honoring system. We would have had 10 students from the Career Center qualify. So again, 78 of our 298 graduates from the class of 2023 would have been honored in the system that we have been discussing, proposing, and looking at. Now, again, nothing set totally in stone, but something that we can continue the conversation with us being looked at is this something that fits our school, our students, and our community? So I want to make sure, again, that when we celebrate at the end of the year the achievement of graduating, that students who have dedicated themselves, have put forward that commitment, and performed at a high level, get honor for what they have accomplished. Again, I'm open for any questions. I would like to see if anyone has anything that I can answer. This is something that I've been involved with for a long time. Like I mentioned, if I said 10 years, maybe I'm even being short on it, where we've studied it, we've looked at other local high schools in our area who have moved on from this system and that have joined in trying to enter a more sophisticated, like college-like system of honor. Any questions at all? I'm sorry. Mrs. Tyson?
Why haven't you told in your research? I thought we were doing this, you never even got grades.
Yeah. So that's what I'm understanding that was our goal, is we were maintaining valedictory and salutatory, and as we transition, we were going to honor our students with these honors. And part of that is something, again, I would like to continue the discussion with our Mr. Evans and Dr. Coons, would be is again, with that, we're hoping that we can have some honor cords, some, again, I don't know the name of them off the top of my head, something that stands out, is not only just identifying them, something that would, like, you could visually see, and then also at graduation, we could announce it. We could announce a student and say that they graduated, again, with honors, or graduating summa cum laude, Mr., or say their full name. So I think I've seen ceremonies that have done that, and I thought it was very elegant and, very, it was very rewarding for the student to have their name read aloud with their achievement. Okay, well, I'm sorry I took so much time. That wasn't the plan, but if anyone has any questions, again, you can reach out to me at any time. Feel free. I'd be happy to talk about it. So I'll be available now or anytime in the future. Thank you.
Awesome. Next, we'll be moving on to public comment for agenda items. First, we have up is Heather Niederheiser. And I guess the question we have is, what agenda item does this refer to for bullying? Solicitor said it'd be better to save it to the end of the non-agenda. If nothing else for agenda items, moving to athletics, Mr. Renton.
Thank you, Mr. Manzella. Request approval to solicit bids for spring sports and equipment, and I so move.
Motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to inform the WPIL that Collinsville School District will not be requesting a conference football schedule for the PIAA enrollment cycle of 2024, 2025, and 2025 and 2026 school years, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We had an athletic meeting on December 4th, 2023. That's all I have, Mr. Panzella. Anything else, Mr. Martucci? Mrs. Sangston? And Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Panzella.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Moving to buildings and grounds, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval of the following event and building usage request. I'd like to spread 1 through 9 as presented. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to award the bid for safety and security locks for the Connersville area's senior high school to accredited locksmith supply, Secaucus, New Jersey, in the amount of $12,406.50. Lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications to be paid from the Fayette County donation, pending solicitor review and approval. And this was the lowest bidder. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Question,
Question on the motion.
how many locks did we have to purchase? 90? Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Panzella. Mr. Kirsch and Mr. Bingham, do you have anything to add?
The resting room is 95% completed. I'm soon going to be coming to the board to hand things over to you guys.
Perfect. It's great news. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martucci. Moving to Carnegie Free Library, Mr. Martre.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. We have nothing this evening. Mrs. Saxon, do you have anything additional?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Martre. Moving to Collinsville Area Career and Technical Center, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval of the lease agreement between Somerset Bank and the Connellsville Area Career and Technical Center for an ATM machine. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have. Mr. McWilliams, you have anything? That's all we have, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to curriculum, Mr. Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. I have nothing. Mr. Renzi?
Thank Mr. Bosnick for coming today and explaining everything in a little more detail to everyone. I think the last time we did this last meeting, we were kind of all in agreement of doing this, just a time period of when we were going to start. It was in question, but I think that's going to clear up a lot of questions a lot of people had over why we were doing this and when we were doing it and all the advantages of it.
Dr. Coons?
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harshman. Moving to cyber, Mr. Martre.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. We have nothing this evening. Mr. Coach, you have anything additional? Okay, just one other thing. I'd like to say on Sunday, I attended the concert up here, Christmas concert that Mrs. Harbaugh put on, and it was really, really good. They did a good job with the kids. The kids, fantastic job. A lot of good talent there. But I'd like to congratulate them on that. It was a nice concert. That's all I have.
Thank you. Moving to federal programs, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval to purchase PLTW kits for grade 5 at a cost of $12,409.40 to be paid from the Title IV funds, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have. Mr. Mortray.
Nothing, thank you.
Dr. Coons.
I have nothing, thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martucci. Moving to finance, Mr. Renzi.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. Request approval of the attached requisites and orders and to authorize the district business office to process orders and payments, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following donations to the prom committee, an anonymous donor of $35, for MV Drive for $100, and Loyal Order of New 16, $50. To the senior high school arts program, a large printer in the amount of $5,590 from Antoinette Dews in memory of her son. To the Dunbar Township Elementary autism students, toys, gloves, and hats from the Collinsville Eagles Riders. To the Bible Club from Jess Martin, $25. Jim and Sharon Nicola, $10. And Central Fellowship Church, in the amount of $50. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the accelerated budget opt-out resolution certifying tax rate with an inflation index, and no need to comply with Act 1 accelerated budget procedures for the 2024-2025 school year as proposed, and I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Anything you want to add? Excuse me. Mr. Harshman
Nothing, thank you. I'm sorry.
and Mrs. Robinson?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Mantel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Moving to food service, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you, Mr. Pinzo. Request approval to hire Judy Sumner as a 4-hour cafeteria employee effective December 7th, 2023. And I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to hire Cheryl Hartzell as a 4-hour cafeteria employee effective December 7th, 23. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request a conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following addition to the cafeteria substitute list for the 23-24 school year. Rhonda Welling, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have. Mr. Martray.
Nothing, thanks.
Mr. Trippino.
Yes, like that, our cafeteria staff did a great job with Thanksgiving meal, the holiday meal they had. And they work very hard, take a lot of pride in that. We also have a December 14th holiday meal for the students and staff as well. And we did receive an extra $30,000 funds for our produce from PD and USDA at the last meeting and out too. That's all I have.
That's great to hear. Thank you. That's all we have, Mr. Pinzola. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to personnel and review and liaison, Mr. Renzi.
Thank you, Mr. Mantello. Request approval to appoint Bill Petco to the interim position of acting principal at the middle school effective December 7th, 2023, and through the conclusion of the 2023-2024 school year, and to authorize payment of $50 per day stipend for such appointee in addition to their regular salary, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to appoint Cal Martin to the interim position of acting assistant principal at the middle school effective November 20th, 2023, and through the conclusion of the 2023-2024 school year, and to authorize payment of $50 per day stipend for such appointee in addition to their regular salary, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Mr. Detweiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Driscoll? Yes. Mr. Harshman?
No.
Mr. Martray?
I'm going to say no because I'd like to see the disrupting of the class. I mean, there's nothing against Mr. Martin, does a great job down there, but I just like to see our classes not be disrupted with the kids.
Mr. Martucci?
Yes.
Mr. Renzi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sangston?
Yes.
And Mr. Panzella?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requested conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following addition to the support personnel substitute list for the 2023-2024 school year: Rhonda Welling, Brooke Sanders, and Ashley Black, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Requested conditional approval contingent upon successful submission of screening and background checks of the following addition to the professional substitute list for the 2023-2024 school year: Jay Novak, emergency sub; Olivia Dixon, emergency sub; and Christopher Russell, emergency sub, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following long-term substitute teachers for the 2023-2024 school year. Brody Bonadillo for the second semester, and Linda Miller, effective January 4th, 2024, for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The following Family Medical Leave Act leaves are confirmed by the board. Lori Richter, nurse, effective November 10th, 2023, intermittently for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The following sabbatical leaves are confirmed by the board. Veronica Bauer, teacher, second semester, 2023-2024, and William Bauer, teacher, second semester, 2023 to 2024, and I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval for Megan Barrett, teacher, to take leave of absence beginning on or about December 18th, 2023, and for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to hire Denise Petrowski as access coordinator at a salary of $50,635 in accordance with the confidential employees policy effective upon release of employment, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to hire the following personal student aide effective December 6, 2023, Anna Marie Rosenberry, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the retirement of Robert Striner, custodian, effective January 3rd, 2024, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the resignation of Mackenzie Johnson, teacher, with the final date of employment to be February 2nd, 2024, per Act 14 of the PA Code, or unless released prior to February 2nd, pending appropriate replacement and transition with replacement as approved by the superintendent, and I so move.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the resignation of Randall Carson, maintenance, effective December 1st, 2023. I so move.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval to accept the resignation of Ashley Black, aide, effective December 4th, 2023, and I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Collinsville Area School District and the Collinsville Area Education Association to amend the salaries of the high school girls softball head coach and assistant coach supplemental positions, and to add one additional assistant coach supplemental position, and I so move.
Motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the memorandum of agreement between the Collinsville Area School District and the Collinsville Area Custodial Maintenance Support Professional Association regarding grievance 2022-2023-3 settlement as proposed, and I so move.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Anything, Mr. Harshman?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Kokenar? Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have, Mr. Pantella. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Moving to policy and legislative, Mr. Martre.
Thank you, Mr. Panzo. We have nothing this evening. Mr. Harshman, anything additional?
No, I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank you.
That's all we have.
Moving to safety and security. Oh, thank you, Mr. Martre. Moving to safety and security, Mr. Martucci.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. We have no agenda items at this time. Mr. Renzi, anything to add? Mr. Parlay? That's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Martucci. And sticking with you for special education, please.
Thanks again, Mr. Panzella. Request approval from the Collins Area School District to accept the comprehensive supports grant through PATH. And I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have. Mrs. Sexton.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. D'Amico.
Oh, thanks.
That's all, Mr. Panzella. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Mr. Martucci. Moving to student services, Mrs. Sangston.
Thank you, Mr. Pinzella. Request approval of the following travel, like book 1 through 8, spread 1 through 8, and I so move.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the agreement between Chestnut Ridge and the Collinsville Area School District to provide additional social work services with all costs paid through the special education budget, and I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following volunteer instructors for the indoor drum line. Alex Treacher, Justina Whipke, and Benjamin Shaw.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the supplemental resignation of Sarah Bruschke, student council sponsor at the high school effective immediately. And I so move.
A motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Request approval of the following 23-24 Collinsville High School musical production staff with 4 performances. Not to exceed the budget of $50,000, contingent upon obtaining necessary performance licensing, and to authorize such persons to serve in an uncompensated volunteer capacity until such necessary performance licensing is obtained. Upon the ability to hold, proceed, and conduct extracurricular activities under state orders. Such agreement and appointments to be subject to earlier termination based on subsequent state orders. Stipend shall be prorated based on work performed. These positions were board approved October 25th, 23, as to be announced. Orchestra musician Haley Daly, 625. Marsha Burley, 625. Dane Schultz, 625. Dawn Stoner, 625. Becky Healy, 625. Michael Buckstein, 625. Regan Daly, 625. Sean Harris, 625. Chris Hornick, 625. And Nicole Lennon, 625. If 5 performances are presented, orchestra musician's salary will be adjusted to $700. And I so move.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have. Mr. Harshman?
Yes, I have one thing that was brought to my attention a couple times whenever I was out on the road. I was wondering if the student services, if we could possibly get a couple students to sit on the board to get information that they could take back to the other students. It's just, something to kick around, and other districts are using it. It's something to kick around, maybe look at it and try it at least for 1 year. See how it's going.
Start gathering some information.
Yeah. That's all I had, thank you.
That's all we have. Mr. D'Amico?
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have, Mr. Cantor.
Thank you, Mrs. Sangston. Moving to technology, Mr. Harshman.
Thank you, Mr. Panzella. I have nothing. Mr. Martucci?
No, sir.
Mr. Mortray?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Ghost?
Nothing, thank you.
We have nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harshman. Moving to transportation, Mr. Renzi.
Request approval of the updates of the bus van driver list for the 2023-2024 school year as attached. Beverly Rittenhour for E.W. Colburn, and I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Anything now, Mr. Evans?
Nothing, thank
That's all we have, Mr. Panzella.
Thank you, Mr. Renzi. Nothing under President's report, we'll move to public comment for non-agenda items. Heather Niederhauser, which one do you want to do, election first?
Well, I'm gonna keep the middle school stuff between me and Petco for now, and deal with that later. Thank you to Harshman for bringing up the students on the board, like for non-voting members. I think that would it'd be great for our school. Anyway, so I just want to say this, I want to take this time to congratulate everyone who got elected and re-elected on this board, but I have a few words for you, so I'm so very proud of you. I know how hard you work to get on this board. Our district is so lucky to have you. I have no doubt that you will do everything in your power to do what is best for our students, staff, teachers, and our community. You have been such an amazing friend, and you have taught me so much along the way. I'm going to try not to cry. I know with this position, we might not be able to rant as much about the school board, and I will respect those boundaries. I hope I never have to mention your name on my Facebook TED Talks. Again, congratulations. Myself and so many others are so proud of you. Thank you for doing this. Make sure to always remember your why. Again, congratulations to all of you who were reelected. And have a good day. That's all. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all we have for non-agenda items. Assistant to Superintendent,
I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Evans.
Thanks, Mr. Panzel. I wanted to take a moment to wish our sincere condolences to the family of Cam's principal, Mr. Jeff Snyder. He'll be greatly missed by so many people throughout the Collinsville Area School District and community in general. Just to once again share the funeral arrangement, Mr. Snyder's viewing will be at Martucci Funeral Home this Friday from 1 to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. with the memorial service starting at 11 a.m. Also, in lieu of flowers, donations can be made to the Jeffrey Snyder Scholarship Fund, care of Somerset Bank. Please keep Mr. Snyder and his family in your thoughts and prayers during this very emotional and sad time. Also, because this will be the last school board meeting before the Crawford Avenue Bridge replacement closure, I'd like to take this opportunity to brief our families on this project. Total bridge closure will begin next month on Tuesday, January 9th, and is anticipated to reopen on Monday, November 11th. During this project, Crawford Avenue will be closed on the west side from Whitburn Engineering just beyond First Street, with First Street being accessible to traffic during the duration of the project. And on the east side to Arch Street, with the Crawford Avenue and Arch Street intersection being closed for the duration of the project. Water Street, that runs under the Crawford Bridge and parallels the railroad, will be open for most of the project, with short-term closures occurring when steel is being erected and the underdeck shielding and construction is being worked on. The posted detour during the project will be East Crawford Avenue to Pittsburgh Street to Route 119 across the Memorial Bridge and back onto West Crawford Avenue. Signs and detours will be posted. This replacement of this 70-year-old bridge was something that we knew was eventually coming and we're all dreading. However, the finished project is going to be much better than our community has now. In saying that, adjustments to school transportation may have to be made and timing will be altered throughout the project. Changes in routes will be very minimal, with the biggest effects occurring with adjustments in pickup and drop-off times due to added time via the Memorial Bridge if your school commute consists of crossing the river. In the end, the biggest modification in dealing with this project is asking everyone for increased patience and flexibility as we navigate this inconvenience that will be impacting our entire community for the next 11 months. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.